Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron. Today we're going to continue on Project Hotshot and we're going to get started on doing the interior. So first thing I want to do, now that I got a good vacuum, is get back in here and vacuum it out really good again. I'm going to go ahead and pull the glove box and the ashtray out, and then I'm going to deep clean everything in here. Vacuum it, wipe it all down, get it all ready, and then we're going to start patching this up here. So that's what we're gonna do. I got a fan running in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys, but it's warm enough I have to have it. So I guess when I edit this video we'll see if it's too loud or not, but I got it all the way on the other end by the door, so for now hopefully it's okay. But I'm gonna get set up and we're gonna start getting this interior cleaned up. We got it vacuumed out pretty good. All the loose stuff's up. I got some simple green I mixed up in my squirt bottle here. I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe everything down. Ceiling, back, doors, floor, dash, everything I can get to. We're gonna clean it up as good as we can, and then we'll get to patching that rocker panel there. It took a couple hours, but with some elbow grease and some simple green, I got the inside of this cab cleaned up pretty decent. Not perfect, but I'll wipe it down again before I start putting the interior stuff in. But I did on top of the dash. We got the steering wheel all cleaned up, wiped everything down, got all the mud and dirt and everything out of the floor. So I'm happy with it. It looks a lot better, and I wanted to get it all cleaned up because of all that dirt and everything that was in here. When I go back and put the new insulation and vinyl mat down, I don't want to trap all that moisture or have all that stuff that can hold moisture trapped underneath it. And why not? I mean, I got it apart, why not do it right? Clean it all up before we put it back together. So we got it all cleaned up pretty good. I'm going to scuff up and paint the parking brake, the clutch, and the brake arm, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the shifter also. I'm going to go ahead and do it now while I don't have the flooring or nothing in, because as long as I don't get any overspray on the dash, everything else will be covered, so I don't really have to spend a lot of time taping it off or nothing. And it's not going to be a show quality paint job. I'm just going to scuff it up, shoot some paint on it so it doesn't look rusty, and when we get the rest of the interior in, it'll look a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. I'll just scuff them up with some Scotch-Brite, shoot some paint on them, and then we're going to get started on this. Tired of putting it off. It's in my way of moving on, so we're just going to suck it up and do it. So let me get those painted real quick. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done, and then we'll get started on fixing that rocker. All right, got the shifter arm painted up, pedal arms painted, parking brake painted. I know it doesn't really seem like that big of a deal, but since we're going back with all brand new interior, every little thing you do, like cleaning up all the painted parts of the dash you're going to be able to see, and cleaning up the doors where you're not going to be able to see, even though that door over there doesn't match. It's gonna have matching door panels and all that on it, and when it's done, being clean and looking good, regardless if it matches or whatever, makes the whole truck look better. And like painting these shifter and pedal arms and stuff like that, you put brand new shiny black vinyl mat in here, brand new door panels, redone dash pad, brand new seat, all that stuff. And then you open the door and you see the rusty pedal arms hanging there. And I mean, it's just, took me 5 minutes to do it. A little bit of tape, a little bit of paint, essentially nothing. And it's really gonna make a big difference. You'll see when everything's back together. But just keep that in mind. If you're trying, I mean, not everybody's got $50,000 to build a show truck, but any truck can be a show truck to you. Like if you think it's the coolest truck that you can physically put together and afford to do, then it's the coolest truck to you. And that's all that matters. And everybody in the truck community, whether it be Ford, Chevy, Dodge, especially the C10 and Squarebody life, everybody's really cool. I mean, if they see that you care about your truck and you put a little bit of effort into it to make it what it is, they're gonna think it's cool like you do. And that's a really cool thing, and that's part of why I like Squarebody so much, because the community is just amazing. But just remember, doing some little things make a big difference. Get rid of that rust, got shiny new black stuff. Now on to the dreaded project of fixing this rocker. So I'm gonna get all my stuff together, we're gonna get in there and get it done. Alright, I'm gonna do the best job I can to let you guys see what I'm doing here. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut out all of this that's bad, and then we're just gonna take some metal and patch some panels in there. We're not doing floorboards, we're not doing inner rockers, we're not doing outer rockers. We're gonna patch it up so that it's right and so that the weather strip seals there. And may not necessarily be the right way to do this, but this is what we're doing for now. And it's going to be fixed properly, just not the right way, I guess you could say, but it's going to be fixed. So what I'm going to do is I want to measure my lip for my weather strip, see how tall that is, and then I'll make a mark on my metal here and I'll bend it to where I have my lip. And then we'll come out here and see how much material I need to cut back to get into something I can weld to. And we'll just work our way down and put patch panels in there. Up here is not that bad, I won't need much. Here it gets a little more, and then over here it gets worse. But I'm going to make my lip for my weather stripping and patch the top of the rocker. And then I'll come back and make a piece to go and tie back into the floor pan over here. So that's what we're doing. Looks like we got about just shy of 3/4 of an inch. So I'll take my metal, make a couple marks on it right about 3/4 of an inch. And pretty much everything I show you guys how to do here on your channel, with the exception of the welder maybe, is just basic tools. I mean, I don't have any of the right tools to do this job. I don't have a brake or a shear or anything like that. I got a couple hammers, a couple grinders, and bench vise, and we just do the best we can. I mean, that's what you got to do sometimes. So I'm going to mark this off. I'm going to go and put it in the vise and bend it to a 90. Then we'll bring it back, set it in here, and then we'll mark it to what we need for over here. Okay, I ended up going and getting another piece of metal. That other stuff I was working with was 16 gauge, and I had high hopes, but it was just too thick. So went and got some 20, which probably pretty close to what it was from the factory. I got my lip bent on it with I did most of it with a pair of pliers and a hammer and dolly. Once I get it together, I can go in there and probably true it up a little bit more, but for right now it doesn't look that bad. So we got that set in there. I'm going to use this piece, and we'll mark where we need to mark where we need to cut it out, where we got good metal to weld to. And then we'll get her cut. So I'm going to take a measurement out here and kind of make a template, I guess, because it doesn't need to be. I want to leave as much of the factory metal on there as I can. So I'm going to take less here, more here, and then we're going to have to work this corner after I get this straight piece in. So nothing to it but to do it. Just get some more work done. Alright, I got my piece cut. Got it set in here. Pretty much where I want it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to mark this out on the cab here. Might need to go get another marker someday. Alright, well, you get the gist of it. So we're going to mark that out like that. And then I'm going to go get my grinder, and I'll film a little bit of this so you guys can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to go get my grinder, and I'm going to cut straight through my line. I know my line is bigger than my piece because I traced around the outside of it. But I want that because I want a little gap to fill. You don't want to butt them up tight against each other and then weld, because then you're welding on top of it. You want to leave a little bit of a gap so you're welding through the gap and you can get it flatter. So I'm gonna go get my cutoff wheel or my grinder or something. We'll cut this out. Alright, I got my cutoff wheel. Like I said, I'm gonna go right dead center through my line, and that should leave us our little gap that we want when we put our new piece in. So here we go. Alright, so from about here forward, it's not as rotted out as I thought it was going to be. We still got some good inner fender here, or inner fender, haha, inner rocker. So this is still all attached that I'm trying to cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and scrape this down and see if I can find spot welds. If I can, I'll go ahead and drill them out. If not, we'll try to pry it off without damaging this part that's loose too much. And then what I'm going to do is just make a piece here with an angle on it and do the best that we can to attach this. And our inner rocker piece down here is in good shape. It's solid. It's just this lip right here where all that dirt and stuff was sitting that is rotted. So if I trim it right here along the top, and then I can make another 90 piece that goes in here, cut this off, trim this along the top, then I can just tack that in there, weld that across there, and then we'll have all of our structure back. So that'll be good. And then spots over here where it's thin, we'll just patch up what we need to, and then the vinyl floor mat's going to cover it all. So I'm not too worried about out here. I have to, you know, kind of grind it down smooth, do it halfway decent. I'm not going to body work it, so to say. I'll make it clean and smooth, and I'll throw some primer on there, because I'm sure after all the work I've done to this thing, and as nice as the interior is going to be and everything else, whoever buys this truck is going to want to finish it and do a paint job. So whenever they take it to get it painted and the painter does the body work, then I'll let them body work this the way they want to. instead of me doing it my way and then them having to dig it all out and redo it if they don't like it. So I'll get it close, I'll shoot some primer on it, and it'll be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I just said I was going to do, and get this cleaned up, see if I can find some pinch welds and whatnot, and then we'll keep going. Alright, I got all of that removed up to my cut line. Just ground off these spot welds and where'd it go? Popped it off, and then I went back and cut out this floor pan where it comes to meet the inner rocker, and I'm going to make a piece that goes from up here, comes down, bends, and comes out, and then I'm actually going to overlap this edge a little bit because this piece that I'm putting on sits on top of this. So I cut it down low enough that if I overlap this, let it come out, I can go underneath and tack it from the back side, and then I'll have a little lip there I can set my piece on top of. By the way, this fits in there pretty good. So we're all right there. And but I got to make the inner structure before I can put the outer piece on. So I'm gonna get another piece of metal. We'll bend that there and start replacing this piece. Go from there, see what happens. Alright, I got this piece that I needed cut, and I used my vise and worked my way down and bent it by hand. Got close to the angle that I need. So it sits in here and overlaps the inner rocker like I wanted it to. I can line that bend up right there. And then now what I'm going to do is just taking make my mark right along there, and then up here I got this curve to deal with, and this curve is solid, so I don't really want to cut that curve out and bend that other piece into it and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is put this back up in its spot, and I'm going to take this and just trim that edge down, and then I should be able to kind of roll that into something I can weld to. So we'll take that corner off, and then we just got to cut this out. Once we get that cut out, I can start cleaning everything, and then we can start tacking this stuff in. So it's coming along, definitely coming along. So we'll cut that off. Kind of match this to the nice thing about metal, you can kind of guess and make it fit. So I'm going to kind of guess there where I marked that to cut. I'll get this cut out, I'll clean it up, and then that's probably going to be it for me today, and I'll go and I'll come back in the morning and start welding stuff in. I still got to get shot back and clean out this inner rocker. It's full of crap, and get all this cleaned up and all that. So it's already late in my day, but we'll get that cut out, and then we'll move on from there. real close, and I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day for today, and then I'll come back in the morning with you guys. And sorry, I'm trying to get in the camera, it's awkward, but I'll come back in the morning with you guys. We'll get that cleaned up, and we'll weld it back in. So grab something to drink, get some chips or something, and we'll continue. Alright, I got my metal all cleaned up to weld in here. I'm going to go ahead and stick my piece in where I want it. I'm just going to start tacking it in. Alright, if you can hear me over the welder, I'm just going to take my time and go back and kind of put this in place, pack it in, pack it all the way around, let it cool so we don't overheat it, and then we'll get ready to put our next piece in. Alright, so I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. I got stuff starting to go in place, and I just started putting it in and forgot to update you guys. So I got my piece that's going to be my new weather strip ridge and fill in for my rocker, all cleaned up, and I went and drilled holes in it about every 2 inches to do plug welds like it was before. We'll tie it into the old structure, and then we'll tie it into our new piece that we put on here also. I already got one in, I tacked it at that end, and I started this one, but forgot to bring you guys along, so figured I'd get you back on here for a second and update you with what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and weld these in, and then I'll start welding around the outside here and get her going. And then all we got left to do over here is finish up this little spot here, which is going to be a little bit more difficult, and I'll show you guys how we're going to do that. So I'm going to get welding on this a little bit, and then I'll come back and update you again. Alright. Got my floor pan to rocker piece all welded in. Still got to do a little bit up here, but I'll get to that later. Got it down. Got my new upper rocker piece on, all plug welded and welded all the way around. Next thing I got to do is grind it all down. This up here I'm just going to smooth out and make flat because the vinyl is going to cover that, so you won't really see it. So as long as it's cleaned up and smoothed out, it'll be okay. This down here, I got to grind this good. And I said I wasn't going to body work it, but I probably will because I can't leave stuff alone. So we'll see. But for now, I'm just going to try to grind it smooth, and we'll see how bad it looks when we get it done. If it looks decent, I might leave it. If it looks bad, I might go ahead and slap a little Bondo on there. There was already Bondo on there from the factory under the original paint, because when these car companies make these cars, they ain't perfect either. So I had to grind some Bondo out to fix it, so it's normal for there to be Bondo in these rockers here. But so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get the grinder fired up and bust these welds down a little bit. I'm probably not going to finish grinding this until after I get this part in, but I just want to go ahead and knock the tops off of these so when I'm leaning on them and stuff, I'm not scratching myself. So that's what we're doing. I guess you could say I'm out here sweating to the oldies because I'm sweating working on the oldies. But Little joke there. I got this in. Got it ground down enough for filler. What I do, I'm not a body man, don't claim to be a body man. I do my best. But after I get done welding, after I start to grind it a little bit, I take a body hammer and I tap my welds down. So that makes the weld a low spot in the two pieces of metal. So I grind it down and leave a little bit of weld protruding, but I tap it down a little bit. Not bad, not like beat the crap out of it, leave huge dents in it, anything like that. Just tap it down so it's a little bit of a low spot. And then I've already decided I'm gonna go ahead and body work it because I don't like leaving stuff unfinished. But we'll start up here. I'll clean all this up all the way out to this lip, all the way into our piece for our trim here. Then I'll come up to about here and I'll clean it all real good, and I'll just skim coat this with Bondo all the way back. And once I get this put in up here, we'll do that too, obviously. But so I got that ground. I'm not gonna do any more on this. I'm not gonna Bondo it or anything like that. It ground down smooth. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. And the vinyl mat comes down and tucks in here. So you'll never see it. I'll put some primer on it, obviously, since it's bare metal, so it doesn't rust or nothing. But I'm not gonna fill it or anything like that. I still gotta do a little bit of something down here to touch this up. And I'll come back with some seam sealer and seam seal it. But now we're gonna get started working on this corner over here, which is gonna be a little bit tougher. Obviously I gotta cut this crap out, and I have to get our weather stripping channel back in here. So ideally I'd have a junk truck sitting around somewhere that I could cut this section out of and just weld it back in, but I don't. So we're gonna make it. And I'm gonna show you guys how to radius a bent piece of metal without a shrinker. So it's is what it is. We gotta do what we gotta do, right? So I'm gonna start out by figuring out what I need for my backing piece back here, and get that piece put in, and then I'll make my piece for here. So I'm gonna get back on it and I'll show you guys how we do it. I'm gonna do the best I can to show you guys what I'm doing here. I got limited space. I've been thinking about it for a minute, and I think what I'm gonna do is, instead of having like the floor pan that comes out and attaches and then the rocker piece sitting on top of it, I think I'm gonna make it into one piece. I'm gonna have this back piece come down and angle like the other one did, but then I'm gonna make my actual rocker piece with my trim tab on there, and I'm gonna tack weld those together outside the truck, put them in as one piece, and then I'll go back and weld them in like I did this stuff. So I just gotta kind of get my measurements and find out how much metal I'm gonna need and where it's solid enough to weld to. Okay, so if I run a weld, or I take it off about straight across there, I should be good. And then you can't really see it. You guys might be able to, but it's even hard for me to see. But the body kind of comes up at an angle right here and then rolls and goes in. So there's kind of more or less like a body line right here. So I'm going to take this and cut it right on this body line. And take it down there like that. So now that I got that drawn out on here, I'm going to make it in cardboard, but at least I got it marked here where I can make measurements, like from my weather strip channel out to here. It's going to be 1.5 inches. And my weather strip channel out to my line up here is going to be 1 inch. So that'll get me somewhat close with my cardboard. I can start doing that, and then once I get this piece made and can set it in there, then I can figure out where I have to make this other piece to weld in there. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting my cardboard made up, and then I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Okay, so this isn't a super accurate representation, but I got my piece. I know that my channel for my weather stripping needs to be 3/4 of an inch, so I marked that line and I bent the cardboard there. And then I got it cut for 1 inch at the top, 1.5 inches at the bottom. And I put a bunch of slices in the cardboard here, which allows it to bend the way we need it to bend without binding up. Now, I told you I was going to show you how to do it in metal without a shrinker stretcher, because I don't have one. Ideally I would, but I don't. So I'm going to essentially do the same thing with the metal. I'm going to lay this out, trace it out on the metal, I'll cut it out, and I'll put my 90 for this piece on there, and then I'll go back with a cutoff wheel and I'll cut a bunch of little slashes in it, and then I should be able to work this bottom piece and bend it, and it should bend up. So I'm not going to like pie cut it or anything like that. I'm just going to put slices in it, and those little slices, the thickness of the cutoff wheel will give me enough room that I can move them all together just a little bit and bring it up to get the bend that I need. And once I get the bend that I need, then when I start putting this piece back in there, then I'll go ahead and weld up all those bends, grind them down, or all those slices, grind them down, and they were never there. So I'm going to test fit my piece here, make sure that it's what we need it to be. And I leave a little extra on when I make this, I'm going to make it a little bit, I'm going to give it the full 3/4 even though we don't need that, because once I get it on, then I can kind of grind this off to get the radius the complete radius that I need for that. So got that up there. Looks pretty good. The edge of it's right where we need it to be with our good metal to weld to. So looking good. So I'll take my marker and make a more accurate mark around my cardboard. That way when I cut my metal off this template, it'll be exact. So that's what we're going to do. I'll trace this on here, trace this onto a piece of metal. We'll cut it out of the metal, and then we'll get it made up to go in here. Alright, so I got this cut out. I got my piece of metal cut out, and I got all my slices in it. And as you can see, now it bends and radiuses really easy. So if I need to get a little bit more bend, I'll open up the gap a little bit, whatever. I might have cut more slices than I needed, but I'd rather have too many than not enough. So I can set this in here now. And for some reason my measurement was wrong. Somehow. Oh well, it happens. So I'll go ahead and mark this again, and I'll take a little bit more off of it so we're more where we need to be. But either way, that radius looks about right. We're in pretty good shape. I'll cut that off right there. and I might have to do some sanding work on this edge to get it to sit in where we want it to, but that's not a big deal either. I'm going to get that lopped off first, and then we'll take a little grinder and just keep cleaning the edge up till we get it to fit where we want it, and then where we get it to fit where we want it, this piece will be ready, and then I can start working on my back piece. So just get this cleaned up a little bit so it fits, and then we'll get it ready to go in there. So I told you before I was going to make this out of one piece. This isn't the proper way to do it. The proper way to do it would be buy a whole new rocker panel, cut it all out, weld a new piece in, but we're doing this budget friendly. Piece of metal I bought to do this was $21, and I've probably got about 4 hours in it, so maybe 3, probably 3. So what I'm doing is I got my piece I showed you that I made with my radius and all that on it. I cut another piece that was the width of this groove in between my pinch seam for my weather stripping and the floor. I'm going to weld that onto the back of that to make that. And then I'm going to take this flat piece that I measured out that's going to fit right in here, and I'm going to weld that on there like so. Then I'll be able to set this whole piece down in there, tack it in place, and we'll weld it up. So I'm gonna weld this piece to this piece because I know that exactly how that needs to be. So I'll go ahead and weld that up. I'll go ahead and cut this out, get it out of our way, and then I can set this up in there, put this in there, and see where it needs to be welded, and then I'll go ahead and weld it on the underside, and then we can put our whole piece in there and weld it in place. So I'll bring you guys back when I'm ready to put it in. Alright, a little bit more grinding, a little bit of Bondo, a lot of bit of sanding, and the project that I keep putting off will be done. So here it is. Got our piece, our last piece that we made in there, and looks great. So got all this patched up. I'm gonna, like I said, I can't just sand it and primer it and leave it. I'm gonna go ahead and put some Bondo on here and smooth it out, make it look good. Transition into this. You can see here where the factory Bondo was. They had at least 1/8 of an inch of filler in there that I ground out. So I don't feel too bad about putting 1/8 of an inch of filler back in. But I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I tack welded all those little fingers back together, so I just got to come in here with a grinder and just knock the sharp edges off, and that'll actually help hold that seal in that corner. And if you guys square body like I do, you know when you put those door seals in around those corners, they don't like to hang very good. So the fact that we're going to have something there that's going to help it bite, it's going to be good. So back to the grind, literally. All right, everybody. I made pretty good progress on this rocker panel repair, so I'm going to show you what we got right now. I went ahead and ground everything down as far as I need to grind it, and got everything cleaned up halfway decent this morning. So what I'm going to do now is I got 80 grit sandpaper on my DA. I'm going to take some 80 grit and start up here, come out here down to this edge, and then all the way up in here somewhere. And I'm not going to really sand it down. I'm just going to use the 80 grit on the DA to clean it and scuff it. That way we'll have a good base for our Bondo to grip to. So I'm going to go ahead and get that scuffed up, and then mix up some Bondo and start slinging some mud. But everything's looking good, so I will I'm gonna get this roughed up, I'll get some Bondo mixed up, and then I'll bring you guys back when I put it on. Alright, I got my Bondo all mixed up here on my high dollar mixing board. I'm going to, I hate sanding, and I'm not very good with body work, so I'm going to put on really smooth coats, and just put on really smooth multiple coats basically. Or not smooth, really light coats, that's what I'm trying to say. And then I'll let it dry, and then I'll come back and sand it, and then if it needs some more, I'll put some more on. So that's what we're doing. Not trying to put an inch of Bondo on here and make it crazy built up. I'm just trying to smooth it out so when you get some paint on it, it looks halfway decent. So anything over, I don't know, 1/16 to 1/8 inch of Bondo is too much in my opinion. So put on as little as possible, make it look as good as we can. Yeah, I must have put too much hardener in it because it's drying up on me already. So I'll just leave that be, let it harden up, and when it gets dry enough to sand, I'll come over and sand it, and then I'll get this area back here that I didn't get with this coat with the next coat. So, and I'll use less hardener next time. But got our first coat on, looks halfway decent. We'll come back and sand it in a little bit and see where we need to go from there. In the meantime, I took the cover off of one of these lights because I was testing the lights back here to see if I could get them to work, and the sockets and the bulbs are all rotted out. So I bought some new lights. We're going to go ahead and replace all 4 lights on the side of the bed. So while I'm letting Bondo cure up to where I can sand it, we're going to go ahead and replace these. Yeah, these are so routed out. This one actually has the glass for the bulb in it, but the socket's gone. The back one, the glass was gone and everything. The screws that hold them to the bed are rusted off. Pop those off. And then, I'm going to see if I can get these broke off screws out. If I can't, this is the new light we're going to be putting on there. And the mounting holes are wider, so they got to go to the outside of it anyways, and they'll sit right over it. So I'll probably just grind these down a little bit and then make them smooth, and then we'll put our new lights on here. So let me go get a grinder. I'll grind these off, and we'll get some self-tappers and a drill over here and mount that new light. Okay, this is some pretty thick metal. I got some self-tappers. I'm hoping they'll go through it without breaking. If not, I guess we'll have to pre-drill some holes, but we're gonna try it first and see what happens. Looks like they'll work. Pretty straight. They're on there. Boom, there's our new light. Still kind of error correct. These other lights that were on here, I thought they looked really cool, but I searched around locally and couldn't find anything like this. And I'm trying to get this done, so I didn't really have time to order them online. And they're too far gone to rebuild them. So we got these. They're gonna look good. I like them. They'll be brighter for sure. And so I got amber for the front, red for the back. I'm gonna go ahead and put the other three on, and then I will bring you over and show you all of them done, and then we should be ready to come back and start sanding Bondo. Alright, while we're waiting on our Bondo to dry, I went ahead and got all 4 new marker lights put on the bed. I like them. Before I liked the other ones better, but now kind of like these. I don't think they look all that bad. And while I was shooting power to them with my power probe to make sure that I had them wired in right and they were going to work, I found stuff like this. Every connection on this bed is twisted together with electrical tape on it. Please don't do that stuff. I mean, it takes an extra $5 and an extra 30 seconds to just get some butt connectors, put them on, seal them up right. You twist these together and put electrical tape on them, moisture gets in there, they corrode, the connection loosens up. I shot power to it's this side and this side. This side's wired together, that side's wired together, and then when I get the truck wiring in here, it'll all tie into that. But when I was shooting power to that, like I'd have this parking light light up, but that one up there didn't. And I'd reach in here and start wiggling this stuff around, and then everything starts working. So because somebody didn't take the time to do it right before, I'm gonna take the time to do it right now, but now I gotta go back and redo every connection, basically rewire the whole bed for all the lights, which I don't mind doing that because I'll know it's right when it's done, but it's just a lot more time consuming and stuff. So if you're gonna do wiring, just do it right. I mean, even if you use non-insulated butt connectors and put heat shrink over it, that's still right. So, but our Bondo has been sitting here, had some time to cure, nice and hard now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some sandpaper and we'll start sanding it down, getting it ready for another coat. All right, got some 180 grit sandpaper, my sanding block. Just gonna get in here and since I'm putting another coat on it anyways, and that 2x4 is not really working for a block, I'm just going to go ahead and smooth it out by hand, and then I'll figure out some kind of block or something to sand it better when we're doing our finish coat. Alright, I'll get this all cleaned up, and then we'll throw another coat of mud on here. Alright, I got the second coat of Bondo on. I got the second coat of Bondo sanded. I've been working on lights back here. Think I got all the mess figured out, just got to wire them up. But I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. It's nice and smooth. I don't know how good you guys can see it, but nice and smooth. It's all feathered in the front and the back. Nice and flat, and I'm pretty happy with it. Turned out good. So I'm going to take a piece of tape and tape down along here, and then I'm going to probably put a piece of tape down along here, and then I'm going to come in with some primer and primer, you know, all the bare metal and the Bondo. And then I have some gray paint. I don't know how close of a match it's going to be, but it'll be better than light gray primer to kind of blend with what's already there. So feeling good about it. That's done. So now I'm going to run some tape, shoot some paint, and get this project finished off. Alright, well, the primer dried, and I basically forgot what I was doing, and I grabbed some color and I sprayed it, and it's dry and it's finished, and I didn't film any of it, so the big reveal is about to happen. There it is. Like new rocker panel, no more rust holes. Once you get the vinyl mat and the weather stripping in, you won't see any of this. You'll only see this, and to me, looks pretty darn good for being somebody that claims to not do body work. I don't think it looks too bad. So I'm real happy with it. It turned out good. I like it. The color is not perfect, but it's better than light gray. So I'm gonna call it good. I gotta go back now and re-wipe down the whole interior, because grinding dust and sanding the Bondo dust and all that kind of stuff, it's all kind of settled in there. So we'll get that cleaned up again, but that's no big deal. We'll do that before we put the interior in. And the next thing I'm gonna do is finish up the lights on this bed. I got some new lights for ones that don't work anymore. I'm gonna get rid of the backup lights up on the headache rack and put red lights up there that are only running lights. So you'll have 2 running lights and then 2 that are brake lights and turn signals. And then these back here are going to be running lights, brakes, and turn signals. And then I got to put in my license plate light, but I won't do that until I finish welding everything up and stuff back there. So I'm going to get my stuff set up and we'll start. Heat must be getting to me today. We'll start working on the lights. One of my subscribers, Ray from Houston, watched one of my videos and saw that I had junk drill bits, so he sent me all these brand new bits, and I'm really thankful for it. I appreciate it a lot, so thank you, Ray. All right, time to get all these lights on this bed finished up and working. So may have already mentioned this, but I got new red to go up here in place of the backup lights, because none of the backup lights were good, and locally I could only find 2 backup lights and I could only find LEDs. So I'm gonna put these down here where the backup lights were, and then I'm gonna switch the tops to red, but I'm not gonna have them, I'll wire them into the lights next to them, but I'm not gonna have them be turn signals and brakes and running lights. I'm gonna have them just be running lights. So they'll be on all the time when the lights are on, and then only the outside ones will brake and flash for the turn signal. So I'm gonna get all these out, get the new lights put in, and then I'll wire the stuff up. Most of the wiring that I have to do is underneath the truck, so I can't really show it to you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this all done, and then I'll show you the lights once they're finished. All right, everything's going smooth today, and I'm super excited about it. Got all the lights rewired the way I wanted them. Got all the lights that didn't work replaced. Got all the lights hooked up to the truck, and was successful. So, got my running lights I changed out, work. Got all 4 running lights up there. Marker lights on this side work. Running lights down here. It's all working. It went together pretty smooth actually. And backup lights. Like I said, I got rid of the backup lights at the top, and I made them just running lights. So all 4 lights across the top are running lights, and then the outsides are turn signal and brake and running lights, but they're the only turn signal and brakes. I didn't want to hook the center ones up to be turn signals and brake lights too, because I figured that'd just be too much. But everything's working. That's all done, and I think I covered quite a bit in this video, so I'm gonna end it here. Truck's really coming along. The more stuff I get done on it, the more I like it, and I'm digging it. I think it's pretty cool. So next video, I'm going to actually start putting the interior together, and I'm going to show you how to repair a square body dash pad. So a lot of people, I mentioned before that I was going to repair one, and a lot of people commented and, you know, asked me to do it. They wanted to see it. So this is the dash pad that came out of this truck, and it's in really bad shape. And the method I used to fix them, I could fix that. But for expense and time purposes and whatnot, I have this one also, and this corner needs to be fixed up here. It's got a few small cracks, but it's nowhere near as bad as that one, so I'm probably just going to fix that one and show you guys how to do it. And then we'll go hog wild on the interior, get the dash put back together, vinyl mat put in, recover the seat. Lots of stuff to do. It might be 2 videos. I'm going to try to do it in one, but we're going to get the whole interior knocked out. And then after I get the interior knocked out, got to put the hood back on, fix the mirrors, put them back on, and little stuff. Rest of today, I'm not going to film it, but I'm going to go ahead and finish welding this in. I think I got my welder fixed, so I'm happy about that. And I already showed you guys how I fabricated and made all that, so I'm not going to make you sit there and watch me weld it and grind it. So beginning of next video, I'll do an update, show you how it turned out. I'm going to build the trailer hitch also, but it's all underneath inside, and there's not really a good way for me to film it. So I'll show you guys all that stuff the best I can in the next video, but for now, I'm going to end this one. If you're subscribed, please share, you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Like, comment, ring the bell, all that good stuff. I appreciate all of you very much. If it wasn't for you, there'd be no me. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.